The next evening, Cal confronted Rose in their suite. His usually controlled demeanor had cracked, revealing the dangerous man beneath. "You've been seen with that third-class trash," he said, his voice low and threatening. "Dancing with him like some common." "Don't," Rose said, finding a courage she didn't know she possessed. "Don't you dare." Cal's hand shot out, gripping her arm roughly. "You belong to me, Rose. My wife will not disgrace me." "I'm not your wife yet," Rose said, pulling away. "But you will be," Cal hissed, "and I'll make sure that Vagrant knows his place." Fear shot through Rose, not for herself, but for Jack. She knew Cal's reputation, his ruthlessness in business and life. That night, she met Jack on the deck where they'd first encountered each other. "We have to stop seeing each other," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Rose, what's wrong?" Jack asked, reaching for her. "Cal knows. He'll hurt you, or worse. I can't bear the thought of something happening to you because of me." Jack cupped her face in his hands. "Rose, look at me. I've been poor my whole life, but I've been rich in experiences, in freedom. But I've never felt as wealthy as I do when I'm with you." "Jack." "No, let me finish. I love you, Rose. Not the person everyone expects you to be, but the real you. The woman who dances with abandon and asks questions about art and sees beauty where others see only poverty. That woman is worth fighting for." Rose's resolve crumbled. "I love you too, but what future do we have? I have no money of my own, no skills. Without Cal, you'd be free to discover who you really are," Jack said. "We could go anywhere, do anything. I could teach you to draw, show you the world beyond these golden cages." Rose looked into his eyes and saw a future she'd never dared imagine. Uncertain perhaps, but filled with love and possibility. "When we dock in New York," she said quietly, "I'll go with you." Jack's smile was brighter than the stars above them. As he kissed her, Rose felt the last chains around her heart break free. But their love story was far from over. The greatest test was yet to come, and it would demand the ultimate sacrifice. As the ship sailed on through the calm night, neither Rose nor Jack could have imagined that their love would soon face a trial that would either destroy them or prove that true love could transcend even death itself. In the distance, an iceberg drifted silently through the dark waters, waiting to change the course of history and test the strength of a love that dared to cross the boundaries of class, expectation, and fate. The next morning, Rose couldn't stop thinking about the stranger on the deck. Jack Dawson. Even his name sounded like freedom. She found herself scanning the ship's public areas, hoping for another glimpse of those honest eyes. Her opportunity came during the afternoon when she heard a commotion near the stern. A crowd had gathered, cheering and laughing. Curious, Rose made her way through the people, her mother and Cal nowhere in sight. At the center of attention was Jack, sitting on a bench with a sketch pad, drawing portraits of delighted passengers. His hand moved with confident strokes, capturing not just faces but souls. Rose watched, mesmerized, as he handed a finished sketch to a little girl, who squealed with joy. "You have a gift," Rose said when the crowd dispersed. Jack looked up, his face lighting up with recognition. "Miss DeWitt Bukater, fancy meeting you here." "Just Rose, please," she said, sitting beside him. "May I see your work?" Jack hesitated, then opened his sketch pad. Rose gasped. The pages were filled with life, street scenes from Paris, faces of working people, landscapes from his travels. Each drawing told a story, captured a moment of truth. "These are extraordinary," she breathed. "You see the world so differently." "I see it as it is," Jack replied, "not as people want it to be." Their conversation was interrupted by Cal's stern voice. "Rose, what are you doing here?" Rose's heart sank as she saw Cal approaching with her mother, both wearing expressions of horror and disgust. "I was just," Rose began. "She was admiring my artwork," Jack said, standing. He extended his hand to Calendar Jack Dawson. Cal looked at the offered hand as if it were diseased. "I don't believe we've been introduced. This is my fiancée, Miss DeWitt Bukater." The word fiancée hit Jack like a physical blow, but he maintained his composure. "Congratulations. You're a lucky man." "Indeed I am." Cal said coldly. Rose, we're expected at tea. As Rose was led away, she looked back at Jack, something passing between them that needed no words. In that moment, both their worlds shifted, though neither yet understood how completely their lives would change. That evening, unable to sleep, Rose wandered the ship's corridors. The divide between first and third class seemed more stark than ever, but it couldn't contain the longing in her heart. Days passed, and Rose found herself seeking Jack out despite her mother's warnings and Cal's increasing suspicion. She would slip away during the afternoons, meeting Jack in hidden corners of the ship where class boundaries seemed to blur. "Tell me about your life," Rose said one afternoon as they sat in a quiet corner of the ship's library. Jack leaned back, his eyes distant. "I've lived all over. Paris, Wisconsin, California. Never stayed anywhere long. My parents died when I was 15, and I learned to make my own way." "That sounds lonely," Rose said softly. "Sometimes," Jack admitted, "but it's also free. I wake up not knowing what the day will bring, and I like that. I can go anywhere, be anything." Rose's eyes filled with tears. "I can't remember the last time I made a choice for myself. Everything is decided. What I wear, what I eat, whom I'll marry. I feel like I'm already dead." Jack reached over and gently took her hand. "You're not dead, Rose. You're just sleeping. You have to wake up." "How?" she whispered. "By choosing what makes you happy, by being brave enough to live your own life." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of music drifting from the third-class deck below. Jack's eyes lit up. "Come with me." "I can't," Rose protested. "If Cal finds out—" "Cal isn't here," Jack said, offering his hand. "Just for one evening, be Rose. Not Miss DeWitt Bucator, just Rose." Against every rule she'd been taught, Rose took his hand. The third-class party was unlike anything Rose had ever experienced. The music was lively, the dancing uninhibited, the laughter genuine. Jack introduced her as a friend, and the passengers welcomed her warmly, not caring about her fine clothes or upper-class accent. "Dance with me," Jack said, pulling her into the crowd. Rose hesitated. "I don't know how to dance like this." "Then I'll teach you," Jack said, his hands finding her waist. "Just feel the music." As they moved together, Rose felt something she'd never experienced before. Pure joy. She threw back her head and laughed, spinning in Jack's arms as the music swirled around them. For the first time in her life, she felt truly alive. Later, as Jack walked her back to the first-class deck, Rose turned to him. "Thank you for tonight. I'll never forget it." "It doesn't have to be just tonight," Jack said quietly. "You have choices, Rose. You just have to be brave enough to make them." As they parted ways, both knew that something fundamental had changed between them, something that would be impossible to ignore. Rose DeWitt Bucator stood at the grand staircase of the luxury liner, her emerald silk gown flowing like water around her ankles. The year was 1912, and she was returning to America aboard the most magnificent ship ever built. But beneath her porcelain smile lay a heart heavy with dread. "Smile, Rose," her mother Ruth whispered sharply, adjusting the diamond necklace around her daughter's throat. "Cal is watching." Caledon Hockley, Rose's fiancé, approached with his usual air of superiority. At 30, he was already a steel magnate worth millions, his dark hair slicked back and his expensive suit impeccable. He took Rose's gloved hand and kissed it formally. "My dear, you look radiant tonight," Cal said, but his eyes were cold, calculating. "I've arranged for us to dine with the Wigners tomorrow. Important business connections." Rose nodded mechanically. Everything in her life was arranged. Her marriage, her future, even her thoughts seemed predetermined. The engagement ring on her finger felt like a shackle, the massive blue stone as cold as her intended's heart. Later that evening, as the ship's orchestra played in the first-class lounge, Rose escaped to the deck. The April night was crisp, stars scattered across the dark sky like diamonds on black velvet. She gripped the railing, feeling suffocated by her corset, by her life, by the future that stretched before her like a prison sentence. "Beautiful night, isn't it?" a voice said behind her. Rose turned to see a young man, perhaps 20, with sandy hair and kind eyes. His clothes were simple, a worn jacket and plain trousers, clearly marking him as third class, but there was something about his smile, genuine and warm, that made her breath catch. "I'm sorry," he said, noticing her surprised expression. "I didn't mean to startle you. I'm Jack Dawson." "Rose," she replied, then caught herself. "Miss DeWitt Bucator." Jack's eyes twinkled with amusement. "Well, Miss DeWitt Bucator, mind if I share this piece of sky with you? The view's pretty spectacular from here." Despite herself, Rose smiled, a real smile, not the practiced one she wore like a mask. "I suppose there's room enough for both of us." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the moonlight dance on the ocean's surface. For the first time in months, Rose felt she could breathe.